You need to convince yourself that you're worth something, like you belong, you have value, you can impart value even in the world of large language models and artificial intelligence and all that stuff.
Hey, Anna, do you think people are listening?
Yeah, why wouldn't they be? We make business so fun.
Don't we? In that case, let's introduce ourselves.
Hey, it's Anna and Selena and the 15-ish minute coffee chat podcast. Talking business doesn't have to be boring, so dive into our coffee chat conversations and learn something new for your small business. Welcome to season 15 of the 15-ish minute coffee chat, a conversation providing tips for every entrepreneur and business owner.
Hey, forgive me if I'm looking over this way, but in today's episode, Sheila Buswell, CEO of Buswell Biomedical and author of This Seat is for Me. You know what? I've not had enough coffee today, guys. Opens up about battling imposter syndrome and how AI is shifting the way we define value at work and in life. So, Sheila's career path from the military to medical innovation gives her a unique take on how we can thrive amidst change, especially when we feel like we don't belong. Welcome to today's show. Hi,
Yay!
Anna.
Hi, how are you today, Selena?
Sometimes when we start these, it's always like around, you never know. You never know what kind of Selena you're going to get when we start recording.
Yes, that is very true. But today's conversation, I think, is going to get us all like excited and up and going, right?
Oh, yes, 100%. First of all, you know how much I love AI. And so, first of all, let's talk about what our call to action question is for our audience.
Okay, so our call to action question today, it is about AI because today we're going to be talking about you belong here and it's owning your value in an AI world. And this is with our guest Sheila Buswell. And I'm excited about this question, or not, that's the topic, but the question that we have today for you is all about AI and whether or not AI has made you question or affirm your value at work or in business. Are you incorporating it? Is it causing you to have imposter syndrome, like, oh my gosh, this AI can write better than I can, comes up with better ideas, provides a better image than I can create, does a better job at content creation? Any of the questions that might be being asked by a business owner who is utilizing AI in a number of different ways.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's okay. How does it feel? And we've actually had a very interesting conversation with Sheila backstage before we started recording that we all had to say, wait, let's pause because we want to talk about this at some point later. But I am very curious to see what people say. Shall we bring up Sheila's bio and let's get ready to read in here? So don't mind me. You might see some things moving around. That's just because it's me. So don't worry. Okay, adding. Okay, let's shuffle over and read a little bit of the bio. Go ahead there, Miss Anna.
Okay, so in 1997, Sheila joined the Army, and in 1998, a generator fell on her foot in Bosnia. 20 years later, her mom fell and broke her hip, and when she saw her mom battling the same problems she had, it bothered her profusely. Her mom was in a rehabilitation hospital in Arizona for 3 weeks and went from 110 pounds to 99 pounds. She had to be accompanied for all of the activities of daily living, like toileting by a healthcare worker. She realized that it had been 20 years since her own accident and nothing had changed in how people are treated in rehab hospitals. After receiving a medical discharge in 2001, Sheila moved to Missouri to continue her education, earning a BS in mechanical engineering in 2005 from Missouri University of Science and Technology. And then Sheila also holds an MS in biomedical engineering from St. Louis University. She developed the concept for the upward mobility, UPMO, in 2018 to help improve quality of life at rehabilitation centers. Sheila's goal today is for people to start thinking of AI as a way to solve problems and as a tool at our disposal instead of fearing it. Sheila is also the author of This Seat is for Me. This seat for you. We're going to have to confirm what the name of this book is because we've got it like 4 different ways. So we're going to confirm all of that. But This Seat is for Me, which shares the stories of a diverse group of accomplished individuals. Okay. So interesting that Sheila's personal life has led to all of this.
Yeah, no. And typically, I think when somebody starts a business, that's what happens. So let's bring Sheila on. Ta-da! Hi,
Hi,
Sheila.
Sheila.
Hello.
I think it's just in our writing, we messed it up. But I think the name of your book is,
Is this seat for me?
yes, I
Uh,
knew it was the second one. It,
You
it
had it right. You just missed the is part.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Is this yeah, when I read that title yesterday and I was like, ooh, as an introvert for myself, I feel that, right? Because I always don't know if this seat is for me. And I'm not sure yet because I haven't read the book, but welcome to the show. I'm so excited. Anna's so excited to have you here. Oh, let's take our coffee cup selfie before we get into the questions because we've got a lot to talk about. On
I'm
well,
yeah.
go ahead, go, Maddie. I just try to call her my daughter's name. Anna, ready?
Yeah.
On three. 1, 2, 3. Wow, I think I'm the only one without. What do we call these? What? Not these. What are you guys having? What the?
I have a Yeti.
Thank you. That thing. Tumblr. There we go. Oh,
Yes.
you guys. Okay. So
I am
Sheila.
past coffee hour. I am currently in water hour and out of coffee hour.
I'm in green tea hour
Yeah.
Okay.
because I need some caffeine, but not as much as in coffee.
Look, I run on caffeine 24/7. This is probably why I go to bed late and wake up late. Okay, we're going to move our little tiles here around and we'll put Sheila in the power seats. Welcome to the show. Anna is going to dive into the first question.
I am. Sheila, when you submitted your information, I was like, this is very interesting because you have this personal story of this accident that happened to you, and then you had something similar that happened with your mother. And then from that, you created a business, which is amazing, right? But also, you tied AI into your intake form. And Selena and I were really curious and interested in this conversation that you brought up. So, the first thing that we really want to ask you is about imposter syndrome, because in your intake form, you did talk about imposter syndrome. So, when we're talking about in the context of like entrepreneurship or small business leadership, talk to us about what you define imposter syndrome to be.
I just simply feel like imposter syndrome is when you don't feel like you're enough. Like you haven't reached the bar, you don't know enough, you are not enough, you haven't, I'm going to use a running analogy, like you haven't trained enough, you haven't ran enough to do whatever. And it only is going to take somebody who's going to pull coals in your facade and be like, you are obviously don't belong here because you're not fill in blank here. And I think it gets called different things based off of your chromosomes or what's going on in your underwear or whatever, or what you look like. But that's basically, I just feeling like you're not enough.
Okay. I've never heard somebody say what's going on in your underwear like that.
I love it.
That
It's
is
going to be my new
hysterical.
thing. First of all, though, I do want to say thank you for your service because you are a veteran. And when I read that, I was like, oh, how did we get so lucky as me and Anna are military spouses? It's a big part of kind of our story. So thank you again. I meant to say that earlier. And
So thank you. 100%. This brings up imposter syndrome every time somebody says that to me. I'm like, I don't feel like I did enough. Weren't being thanked. But yeah,
yeah. No, my husband has always said, "Hey, it doesn't matter when you put that uniform on, like you are kind of part of this brotherhood, sisterhood thing that he said, this bond that you soldiers have with each other." Our husbands are also Army, and as Sheila is a US Army vet too. Yeah, I can definitely identify with just the imposter syndrome, what you said. And you're right, it has been called many things. And we had a guest a couple seasons on ago that came on and she had called it something else. And I went, whoa, that's so true. It's just like this belief in yourself that you are not enough
Yeah.
for being there.
yeah,
I would tie it back. Your book is about imposter syndrome, right? So it is asking, oh, wait, is this seat for me? Do I fit here? Do I belong here? Do I have enough in my repository of things I know and what I can do to fill a space that is here and fill it with a value? Because that's really what we're looking for, right? Anybody can fill a space, but we want to bring value to the conversations. We want to bring value to the people that we're surrounding ourselves with. We don't want to just be filling a space and be useless there. And I think that's where imposter syndrome can come crashing down on us.
honestly, that's what I think imposter syndrome and AI meet. What value do you bring when AI can write a letter better than you, right? I'm not sure. That's your mind is speaking that in your ear, like whispering that gremlin in your ear or a monster under your bed or whatever. Oh, okay. This APA, perfect artificial intelligence, large language model can spit out this letter. But you know what? It takes a little bit of reading that and you can spot it. You can spot that it was regurgitated from AI, and you need to convince yourself that you're worth something, like you belong, you have value, you can impart value even in the world of large language models and artificial intelligence and all that stuff.
So when we're talking about like the way we look at ourselves and how we measure our value in that way, and we tie that to AI, Sheila, what would you say is like the misconceptions that small business owners have when they start that process? Now, what is it that they're saying to themselves as they look at those things?
My experience, the reason I became an expert in AI is because the control system for the upward mobility, or UPMO, uses artificial intelligence. And I think there's a path, there's a decision point that people and small business owners or people that they fear or engage. And I think you add value when you engage. Like, you're more valuable if you engage, because we're talking about the note that the head of Fiverr wrote, right? Like, it's coming. Just engage with it and or not, but fearing it's not an option, because it's going to be here. It's going to be everywhere. So figure out how to increase your value with it. It's important.
No, I love that you said that. We have a very good friend who is an AI marketing expert, and think of it as this is your second brain. This is your partner in crime. This is somebody that is there to enhance what you want to do for your business if used right. And like we were saying earlier, not confirmed, but there was a letter that went out by the Fiverr CEOs sharing with people on Fiverr that sell their services. Hey, AI is coming, like it's here and it's not leaving. So he advised you should make sure to include AI technologies in your business because it's here. I know we're going back and forth on AI and imposter syndrome, but I think if we marry the two together, it's like Anna said, and Sheila, using AI to help you say, hey, I'm going to be going here and I'm going to be talking about these things. Give me a couple bullet points to help structure the conversation so I don't feel lost when I'm sitting down at the table.
I do think yes. And short answer, yes. I do think that it adds value, but it can't be the whole value. You have to know that you yourself add value. You can increase the value that you add with tools, and AI has to be viewed as a tool, right? Just your education can be viewed as a tool, but it's the inherent person that's there sitting in the seat doing the things and accumulating the knowledge that the school offers. It's not just so I have the same parents as my sister. We are given the same, but we took it in very different ways. And one of us grew from it and another one has bad memories of it. And it's very much what you do with it. If you fear it, or if you let it intimidate you, or you just shut down, it's not gonna benefit you. But if you learn how to use that tool, oh my God, I was a generator mechanic in the military. And I think I'm a better engineer, or I was I'm still an engineer at heart, but I was better at spatially recognizing because I was a mechanic that hit my knuckles. So I know, oh, you have to be able, like when I designed things, I was like, oh, you have to be able to get a hand in there. You have to be able to turn a wrench. And I think the same thing with artificial intelligence. You have to understand the basics of it. Like, it just does statistical analysis of everything, but it has every piece of published literature at hand, but that doesn't mean it's not flawed. Like, your grandma knew a lot of people, so she's really good at people picking, but was she flawed? Probably. Mine was. She was a great woman. She was wonderful, but was she flawed? Yes. I knew her and I could take the wisdom, but I could leave the stuff that I maybe not great behind.
Oh, I love that comparison though, right? Right. You take the goods and you leave behind what you don't need.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's everything in life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge the bad stuff, but don't take it with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me, like it's almost there's two parts to what you've been saying. Like one is you hear things through the grapevine, it's not always the truth, right? You really do have to do your research to, especially if you're using statistics or quoting somebody or something, right? You do not want to rely on AI to be giving you the end all be all truth of what that actually looks like. But the second part of this, I think, is people don't like AI. I'm generalizing here, of course, but AI gets a bad rap because it's not authentic. But I think that one of the things that we as users of AI have to remember is that we are imperfect, right? And that what AI does is it allows us to regenerate and restart with some level of creativity that maybe we were having a blockage from, or there was just a space of, I don't know where to go from here. And it just is throwing and spitting ideas. But it's your personal authenticity, your value, your successes, your stories, your input that's going to make whatever that output becomes as value add to whatever conversation you're having or whatever you're using it for.
Anna, what you're saying is so correct. I think it's Dolly that did this. Like I did this exercise in Dolly after being prompted that doing a modern version of the Mona Lisa. And the Mona Lisa was supposed to be this beautiful blah, blah, blah. And if you do it, it's got all these biases that everything is written on, right? Like all the past data so the image of beautiful changed, right? When the Mona Lisa was created, she didn't have eyebrows because that was supposed to be that was beautiful. There's bias today. She's got a low cut brows and big boobs. So that's bias. And somewhere in between is really like we know that beautiful is a different definition. And so it takes some finagling and you got to be able to weed that out. But you got to be able to realize the bias that's there and it's not going to be something you can take and run with. You got to be able to have that human interface to be like, okay, eyebrows need to be present in a human, but big boobs, maybe not. Or I don't know. And real beauty is an eye of the beholder kind of thing, but also maybe the idea of beauty shouldn't be up to one small demographic.
Yeah. And that's a mindset shift, I think, of how we perceive the way that AI can support what we're doing. Is saying to ourselves, it's not giving me all the answers, it's helping me decide what direction I want to go with what I'm doing, right? Or it can provide some details I hadn't thought of. Or there's lots of different things that we can say are going to be the ways that AI can support what we're doing. But ultimately, what we're saying when it comes down to it is you are responsible for what you put out with the use of AI. Ultimately, it is about you. And if you're willing to throw out something without double checking facts or revising it so that it truly has your voice and the way your brand wants to be known or be seen, then that's a you thing. That's not an AI thing.
Yeah. And again, with the going back to imposter syndrome and knowing your value and standing firmly in that, but using AI and the tool as a tool to augment what you know for better or for worse, and to let that represent you to be, if you know already that, oh God, whatever, mascara or eyebrows or whatever are important, th- validate that. I don't know. I'm pulling at strings here, but you know what I'm saying. Pull information and know where to get it, use it for that, but not say, okay, that's ultimate beauty or what, because it was in, I don't even know when the Mona Lisa was painted, but you know what I'm
No,
saying? Like,
yeah. No, the AI question and conversations are always so fascinating to me, and hearing a lot of ways people use it and how people don't use it. And so this was, and just even talking about the Mona Lisa thing, it's getting I want to get off this and go in there and be like, hey, I'm so curious what's happening. But okay, Anna, are we ready to go into our next question?
Yeah. So the next question is actually talking, it's all flows right along the same lines of what we have been discussing. But I want to talk about shifting roles, right? Because today's employee, even business owner, has to wear a million different hats. And because of the increase in technology that's brought into almost every job function that I can think of, right? There's something tied, some technology piece that's tied to almost every single job function that I can think of in the world. So when we're talking about identity and we have these constantly shifting roles, how do we navigate that in a way that allows us to still bring our best self and not rely so heavily, maintain that authenticity, I think is what I'm asking.
This is as I'm older in life, I don't tie my identity to jobs I've had or roles I filled, but I did definitely when I was younger. I was a generator mechanic. I was a whatever. Like, I tied my identity. I was a runner. Those were not just roles I filled. They were how I identified, how I'd introduce myself, like a name tag I wore. This is what I am. But now I'm like, there's a lot more to me than that role I filled. And I think as we get more more strongly rooted in who we are, what we know, like how we identify as people, we are better able to know where we add value and know that the role and what we're called matters less.
Yeah.
We're still going to be, you can call me whatever, and I'm still going to be able to contribute to a conversation. And I hate to bring it up, the seat that whatever seat I sit at, I'm going to bring the same value, regardless of where that seat is, or whether I want to sit at it or not is up to me, not, I
Yeah.
define the attributes of it.
Yeah. I love that you said that. And I want to mention something that I meant to say to you and Anna earlier with the first question. So for me, my imposter syndrome doesn't come with that. I think I don't provide value. I know actually how much value I can bring to any seat. I am actually very fearful of rejection. And that is the big driving force for my imposter syndrome. So I know when you chat about this, you're right. I know that I can. I want to sit down so bad at the seat. But the reason why I don't sometimes is because of the fear of rejection. And that is the driving force for my imposter syndrome. Because then I'm scared I'm going to get rejected. And then I go back into it's a weird, vicious cycle. But I just want to say I appreciate your you're sharing the confidence that you have, that you have value when you take up a seat.
Oh, in one realm, I totally have confidence. But then if you ask me about mascara, or if traditionally women held roles like babies and mascara, I don't even ask questions. When I had to go to not had to, I chose to go to a brunch with women. And I was like, the whole time, they're going to know I don't belong here because I don't know enough about makeup and hair and blah, blah, fill in blank here. And like God, one of the advice I got was just go to the makeup counter at the mall. And I'm like, and ask. And I'm like, I don't ask questions when I am deep in imposter syndrome, because I don't want to expose that I don't know. If you ask me, I am not going to ask questions because I don't want to illustrate my ignorance, right? I'm going to pretend I know all the things. And it's silly. But I think it has to be, it is something, it's impossible that anybody's going to be confident all the time, to think that. But people are going to act confident all the time.
So I want to tie that back to that AI conversation that we're having, right? Because if you really think about it, AI can be a very safe space to ask questions and nobody's going to know you're asking them, right? And you do have to double check the value of the answer it gives you, but you could go on AI and say, how do you apply mascara properly? And how would you describe this process if someone at a random brunch were to ask me, how did you apply your mascara today? Which I'm going to tell you right now, Sheila, no one's going to ask you that question no matter what lunch you go to. You're safe.
It's funny how you mentioned that, because the reason this comes out of my mouth is I was really judgy and mean to my older sister. Would spend so much time. I just learned what an eyelash curler is. But I was like, oh, my sister Bridget had this. But I should have spent more time figuring out what she used it for instead of being like judgy about. But
yeah, family doesn't count though.
Yeah,
family doesn't count.
And I ended up going to YouTube when I had a question, because this was before AI that I had this awakening, or it was common that I use whatever. But I was like, in my book, I talk about there's these 5 personal solutions. And I was like, one of them, my heavy hitter, is remember your past experiences. And one of them, I was like, I taught myself how to make a concrete countertop on YouTube. I can figure out mascara on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
You did
YouTube.
a concrete countertop? Yes, you absolutely can do it. I would love to do one of those.
I think the point though, Selena, is think about like her fear of concrete countertops
Yeah.
is not the same fear you and I
No.
have of trying to create concrete. She's
No.
confident in that area. I would be like, whatever with the mascara, but so it's this
Yeah.
interesting dichotomy of what one person feels comfortable with, another does not. And we
Right.
cannot place judgment on that imposter syndrome, the validity of it, I
Yeah.
guess is a good way to say it.
Yeah.
I want to throw us back one more time into the AI conversation, because this question that we talked about, navigating identity with shifting roles, one of the things that is so important to know about AI is that to get a better output, you have to provide input. And part of that input is really truly knowing who you are and what you need from it. And so it really does come down to knowing yourself in order to best utilize AI for your business. They have a lot of different, like GPT type things where you can go in and you provide it different input and you give it a bunch of detail, and then all of a sudden it says, now I can write in your brand voice. Now I can provide you social content. Now I can write your mission, vision, and values for your business in a way that's going to speak to your audience. But you have to take a step back and say to yourself, I gave it that information. I know who my audience is. So it comes down to, again, this is a tool. You ultimately are the person that knows your audience. So anyway.
And it's very interesting that you said that. In a previous guest, I think it was Monique. Is that correct? She
Yes.
talked about you have a conversation with it and and like you would a person. And I talked earlier about this. Oh my gosh. I think it was Dolly or My Journey. I can't remember the image, but I had an image generator, and the image comes back out of proportion and weird and scary looking. And I was set up on a blind date with my brother set me up on this blind date. And the same thing, he took what I said, but the way he interpreted what I said was wackadoodle. And in my mind, I was like, why did you set me up with this creepy guy? But in it was the way he interpreted what I said. This is the perfect guy for me. So even people can get things mixed up, but if you explain, like Monique said, if you just like long type out in a long language model or a Dolly, for instance, it takes a lot of, please give me an image of blah, 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 and just write out as much as you could, like you're talking to your best friend, all the things. You're going to be very descriptive and you're going to talk very simply, and it's going to be more descriptive and you're not going to be stuck on an uncomfortable blind date for a long time.
Yeah. No, when you mentioned this, when we were talking about this backstage, I was like, this is exactly so right. How, and then a real live interpretation, your brother or ChatGPT, if you're not giving your brother enough, right? They interpret who they think. And that's exactly how it is with AI, right? If you don't give it enough, it's going to give you what they think you're wanting. And when you had mentioned that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. I can tell you how many friends have, like, when I wasn't married, would send things. I'm like, ew, why would you think this is my type? And it's so true, because it's the input you give them. That's the resulting output. And you have to keep working on it.
Yes. And honestly, you don't even know yourself. When I was 24, I got married when I was 35. I didn't know what I wanted at 24, but I know that guy wasn't it. You know what I mean? He was just creepy and weird. But I didn't know the Dread Pirate Roberts from The Princess Bride that I saw when I was a little kid wasn't real, but it was a character. But I just think that it's very important. God, I hope I have Monique is correct. But like she
Yeah.
said, like I think the more you put, yeah, it might not still be right
Yeah.
what you get, but you'll have something to start with.
part of it is like being able to
Yeah.
say, no, that's wrong. Just
Yeah.
like you would to a human. No, I'm
Right.
sorry. I must not have
Yeah.
explained this correctly.
Yeah.
Let me try again because what you've given me is not correct. And you
Yeah.
can't be afraid to say that to your AI. Again, this is all about using it as a tool. And it is Monique. Monique James she's been on a few times to our show and we
One of
love
our
her as a guest.
favorite. Yeah. She's one of our favorite humans ever.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And
she does
she is an
marketing, and
AI
I
expert.
love her.
Yeah, I love
Like,
that you. I love that you brought her up. We brought her up, but we didn't say her name because we're like, we always say her name, so we're thinking. And then the fact that you brought her up, we're like, yes, we can mention Monique again. So we're gonna be sure to tag Monique in this conversation so she knows we're talking about her again.
Yeah. So, Selena, I think we're ready to
Yeah.
jump into kind of what can Sheila bring to our audience?
Yes, let's talk about. I'm going to just shift you up to the top. So, we have a toolkit that we'd love to share with our audience with every guest. And so, we asked them, hey, do you have something? And Sheila did. And so, we're going to have Sheila talk about what you need to grab. And that, yes, you guys, it's going to be in our podcast description, our YouTube link, and the link to grab this will be in our show notes on our blog. Sheila, tell everybody what they need to grab today.
so if you go to istheseatforme.com and enter your email, I won't spam you. I just want your like exchange of information.
Yeah.
But you'll get a chapter of the book, or audiobook or ebook, whatever your flavor is. I like audiobook. And that audiobook is my favorite way to consume information. And I'm a little bit biased, but this is a really good audiobook.
I love it.
You'll get a chapter and then
Yeah, read it and then look. I really do love the title. Is this seat for me? I just want that to be a writing prompt. Like I want Anna and I to be like, okay, I want to write your. So anyway, I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to see the beginnings of this and go from there. So thank you, Sheila, for providing this to our listening audience. I think that's exciting. Yay. All right, Sheila, where can people find you to continue conversations and all the things?
the best place to reach me is that same website, Is This Seat for Me. We'll start an email conversation. I won't spam you, but
Yeah.
all of my social media things are listed in the show notes, and I will definitely respond.
Awesome. Yay. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're at the end
I know.
of the show. And this is where I'm not allowed to talk because I could go jibber jabber all the time. So, Sheila, thank you. But Anna's going to get us out of the show. I'm going to throw on some music here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's
trying to do like slow music. I don't know what that's all
We
about.
never do that.
Never. Sheila, thank you so much for being our guest on today's 15-ish minute coffee chat. We appreciate you bringing your expertise and your conversation here to our audience. And for everyone that joined us today, thank you for joining us at the 15-ish minute coffee chat. You can always connect with Anna and Selena at annaandselena.com. You can find us on LinkedIn. We love new friends on LinkedIn. We hang out there the most, but we're also on Instagram and all of those places too. You can also listen to this show, the 15-ish minute coffee chat, on any of your favorite podcast platforms. So go subscribe and follow, and we will see you at the next 15-ish minute coffee chat. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Did they actually make it to the outro music?
I told you this would work, Selena.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in to today's show. Now head on over to annaandselena.com to listen to more of the 15-ish minute coffee chat. We've got over 100 episodes, all geared to making your businesses more fun and profitable.